Hi everyone, we'll just give it a couple more minutes for more people to join and then we'll get started. Just give it one more minute. Right, I think it's now a good time to start. So thanks everyone for joining our Channel Finance webinar for EMEA. I'm Claudia Hebden, EMEA Channel Director here at Keysight for Network Solutions Sales, which is formerly IXIA. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please enter them in the question or chat window and we'll have time at the end to answer them for you. And on that, I will hand over to Joel Rudman, Director of Finance and Capital Markets. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Claudia. Hi, everyone. So my name is Joel Rudman. I'm part of our Finance and Capital Markets Industry Solutions team at Keysight, and just today going to provide an introduction to our Finance and Capital Markets team that we have at Keysight, and just discuss how we can help you grow your business within the finance sector. We have a couple of case studies to go through. One regarding monitoring SD-WAN performance in a retail and corporate banking environment. Provide you an introduction to our TradeVision platform, which is our market data feed monitoring solution. And then a second case study on utilizing professional services for new infrastructure deployment testing and ongoing monitoring. And then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. As Claudia mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the questions menu and we'll address them towards the end of the session. For those who aren't too familiar with Keysight or IXIA specifically, we're now transitioned fully into Keysight and we're now known as the Network Applications and Security Division. And we have three product pillars within the organization or the business unit. The first being our test solution for network testing, both from a network layer 2 through to layer 7 application layer perspective, so you can understand the performance of a new network element or new network segment before it goes live. We have our security solutions, which involve the ability to test security platforms with realistic attacks prior to the deployments, as well as SSL decryption solutions, and our visibility solutions to provide you visibility into any network, whether that's physical, virtual, in the cloud, or hybrid network to improve the visibility and scaling of any monitoring and security teams. So solutions that you may have deployed. So within the product group, we have what we refer to as industry solutions team, and an industry solution team is a specialist team which is focused around the particular market vertical, and I'm from the finance and capital markets team. Within the IT globally, there's around a $3.3 trillion spend on IT budgets each year, and approximately 24% of that, which equates to $800 billion, is spent by customers within the finance sector each year. So as I said, we're one of 4 industry solutions teams, also referred to as ISTs. We have another one focused around cloud providers, government, and also service providers. The aim of each of the solutions team is to provide complete solutions tailored around those market segments. So within the finance capital markets, we look at the market and we look at the product portfolio, and we try and match different elements of the products and build up different case studies and materials to help you sell to those customers. So we're quite a small team. We're four people, 2 based in the US and 2 based in the UK, to assist customers globally. So what can we do as a team to help you? So we can help you provide solution overviews, both internally to your colleagues or to any of your customers. We have industry specific knowledge, so we have a lot of background. We have over 50 years of experience working with finance customers with visibility and security solutions on there. So we have a lot of background knowledge, and we can help you address those, answer any questions about the market, or help bounce ideas off of us. We also do a lot of event speaking, whether that's at industry events, but also at events hosted by our channel partners. We quite heavily get involved with competitive analysis. So if you've got a customer that's looking at a competitive solution, we can talk to you about the benefits, the pros and cons about their solution versus one of our own Keysight Ixia solutions as well. We can help you with replying to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, and similar types of documents as well. We've built quite an extensive library of responses that we can help with. And last but not least, we can also help with any customer meetings, whether they're virtual, remote meetings, or physical meetings as and when they allow. So what industries fall within this sort of solutions team? So finance capital markets is quite a broad term. So what that means to us is companies which are involved in investment banking, hedge funds, retail banking, stock exchanges, insurance companies, and also infrastructure and service providers. So people like, for example, Refinitiv or Bloomberg or Options, who are providing services to the financial space, very specific sort of finance focused service providers. They also fall in this vertical. So we're happy to help you with any of these types of companies, but outside of this, we've got experts in other areas across all the different verticals as well. And just to give you an example, we're heavily embedded in the industry as well. We're active members of these 3 different trade associations in the marketplace, both from a technical perspective, but also helping review products for the wider marketplace as well. So just a short message, short introduction, but we're there to help and answer any questions about the marketplace and how we can assist with selling into those spaces. So I'm just going to go through our first case study about monitoring SD-WAN performance in a retail and corporate banking environments. So we had a large pan-European banking and finance customer, and they were looking to upgrade their global WAN, moving from a mixture of connection types, MPLS, fixed line circuits, moving to an SD-WAN based infrastructure. But also one of the other key factors was the speeds of the links was also increasing to a mixture of 1 and 10 gigabit links, with also multiple service providers because of the geographical spread. And this raised a number of questions for the customer. First of all, how do you ensure that the new link is providing the required performance for the business to function? And how do you validate this pre-rollout? How do you accurately manage and measure against SLAs when they're varying against all of the different service providers, not just from a bandwidth perspective, but also from a latency and availability perspective. And how do you identify when the slowdowns and pinpoint faults before they become a real problem, especially again with all those different service providers? It can become quite a challenge to do this. So the solution for them was to look at deploying Hawkeye. And Hawkeye is our end user performance monitoring solution, which also has the ability to monitor the performance of network and both physical, virtual, and cloud as well. The way Hawkeye works is that you deploy agents, and agents can either be software or hardware based. So in this case, the customer deployed a mixture of hardware agents at their different physical locations. We were able to deploy the Vision Edge 1S, which had capabilities of doing the SLA validation up to 10 gigabits per second. And for smaller retail branch sites and trading offices, we're able to deploy the IX Probe, which has the ability to test up to maximum 1 gigabit per second. This was able to provide them a complete understanding of the WAN performance, display all the metrics in a single pane of glass, and deliver reports on a daily and weekly basis, which could be given to the management. But most importantly, they were able to be proactively identified when there were slowdowns on the network as well. One of the additional benefits that this had is that at the sites that had the Vision Edge 1S deployed, they're now also able to deploy security and monitoring tools at these locations where there might be a need for tools at a future date, as the E1S can support multiple tools, but also host virtual machines to save them deploying dedicated TIN for that platform. And the feature set on the Vision E1S is fully functional, so it includes all our net stacks, our standard application filtering and load balancing, but also our more advanced features such as deduplication, header stripping, packet trimming, but as well as AppStack for flow generation and more advanced application filtering. So just a little bit more detail about Hawkeye. So it's there for network application user experience monitoring. You're able to automate network and application performance checking and test agent and performance, as well as performance for real services. This could be a SaaS service that you're subscribing to, or an internal or external customer facing portal that you want to validate the performance of. There's an extensive test library and allows you to detect faults in real time with scheduled test execution. All of the results are displayed in a web UI for reporting and analysis, but also the configuration. And there's a variety of different types of agents can be deployed for your major desktop, server, and mobile OSs, as well as hardware or VM agents, or even containerized agents for cloud deployments as well. So these are the agent-to-agent tests that we can test right through from the connectivity layer, going up into layer 2, looking at the throughput and speed, but also simulating application layer protocols to understand how they will perform between any two agent locations. And an agent could be deployed in the cloud as well, so you can understand connectivity for remote workers or connectivity to remote locations as well. And then, similar to the agent-to-agent tests, we also have what we call real service tests or service tests, where we can again start to look at connectivity testing and then move up the application stack. But rather than using simulated traffic, we can look and test real services such as web pages, so maybe a SaaS service that you're consuming, or we can test DNS services, speed tests, etc., but also look at the path to these locations. And because these tests are run on a regular scheduled basis, you can build up information on trends over time and identify when a service is not performing as it normally does on there, and get an alert and notification when that appears. So with the combination of different types of tests that you can run, you really have the effect of peeling an onion. So for example, if you notice a dip in voice quality, the MOS score going down on a link. Over time, the average has decreased. You can also look at other test results and see if there's something else has changed in the environment. So at this point, we can see that this drop in the voice quality is correlated with an increase in the packet loss on the link. And then we can see that if we go and look at the path between the locations, we can see that there's several hops in the link that are now exhibiting packet loss, one of them internally, one of them externally. But then we can go and look at the relevant internal resource, but also query the external service provider for why that's happening. So very easy to jump and see why one issue is VoIPs degrading and what the net effect on that is. So with Hawkeye, the customer's been able to meet all of those requirements, understand that the SLAs are being met with the proactive alerting and notification, and that the links were ready to manage the service before it went live. If you have any questions regarding this deployment, feel free to put them in the questions box and we can address them towards the end of the session. So just moving on to speaking about about TradeVision now. So TradeVision is our market data feed monitoring appliance, and it's a hardware-based solution that we have, and I'll just go into more detail about that. So we often see in the newspapers and the different types of media that technical issues within trading environments, banks or stock exchanges make headlines very quickly and can also have a large financial effect on a company or the whole country's stock exchange in terms of the share prices when there's issues. There's a number of challenges with monitoring market data in there, and the majority of these reasons are very common between the different types of environments, but anyone that's consuming data from stock exchanges, whether you're a bank or a stock exchange itself or a service provider, these issues are very common. So market data is the lifeblood of electronic trading. There's a number of reasons why it's very difficult to monitor it. One, the majority of market data, 99.99%, is UDP multicast based, and it's very hard to identify when there's been dropped packets or out of sequence packets. Multicast traffic is also very prone to microbursts, where the traffic bursts to the link capacity for very short periods of time. And this can also often cause oversubscription and packets to be dropped. But also varying latency through the connection can also cause a lot of issues and also add to the effect of these microbursts as well. And when there's missed data coming through or out of sequence data, the trading systems on the end can make incorrect or wrong trading information because the majority of them are now algorithmic based on that. So just adding to these challenges as well, that every exchange uses different formats for encoding the information they're sending. So what price a stock is at that time. We can see there's two examples here, one from the Intercontinental Exchange, that the New York Stock Exchange has its format and where it positions all the key information in the packet. And then we have one from CBOE, the Chicago Bank of Exchange, and we can see in here it has a completely different format. And when you think about the number of exchanges around the world, that all of these different formats can make it very complicated to troubleshoot any faults and why they're occurring. Another one of the challenges is the number of market data messages that we see has peaked. You can see over the last approximately 10 years, there's been a 15-fold increase in the number of messages being transmitted. This is looking at the OPA feed, the OPA NYSE feed, which is commonly subscribed to by multiple exchanges. on there, and now can often have peaks of over 21 million messages per second being received. And with COVID and the volatility of the exchanges at the moment, we can see peaks now increasing to 30–40% beyond these numbers as well, just over the last year. And also with it being multicast based, if there's a problem, it's very hard to identify where that has gone wrong. Is it in the exchanges network? Is it in a service provider's network? There may be multiple service providers. Or has it gone wrong on your own network as well? So there's various different approaches customers take towards monitoring at the moment, monitoring this market data. They quite often develop their own solutions, maybe software-based and based upon Wireshark. These often have limitations about the volume of data that they can process, but also the period of data that they can retain data for, so very much an ad hoc troubleshooting tool. Customers who develop more intelligent solutions which can do longer term capture, very homegrown based, but also very challenging to build something that will scale and becomes resilient as well. They use software-based trade analytics tools, which give them very high-level metrics about the information, or are very costly to deploy as well. And we see some customers just crossing their fingers and hoping that nothing goes wrong when they're looking at this, at the market data, just hoping that no faults crop up. So what do we see NetOps and engineers looking for? They want to know when a market data feed has no traffic, when gaps have occurred, and they want to be able to understand the solutions easily. They don't want to have to become an expert in it. As the exchanges and venues update their feeds, they want to be able to understand the volume of traffic if any microbursts are occurring. They want to be able to understand the latency, both simply and cost effectively, so the latency from the exchange to their organization, or if they're in a exchange themselves, understand the latency for traffic leaving. They want to be able to integrate with other tools that they have, such as the SIEM solutions, but also identify issues quickly when they occur. And the solution to this, we believe, is our TradeVision platform. And TradeVision takes all of our standard network packet broker functionalities, so filtering, aggregation, load balancing, replication, and timestamping, and then adds a specific market data analytics toolset on there, which we referred to as TradeStack. This is completely FPGA based, so we have 160 gigabits worth of capacity within the TradeVision to be able to do this. And we have features such as gap detection, feed and channel health monitoring, microburst detection, latency analytics, high resolution statistics on there, and we display this all within dashboards for you. So it's a very powerful toolset which can proactively monitor very high volumes of traffic across multiple locations to identify when there's an anomaly in there, to assist with any northbound and integrate with any northbound monitoring or SIEM solutions as well. So just an idea of some of the metrics. This is just an idea of some of the dashboards that you can see in the product, looking at the different types of latency analytics that you can get down there. We have resolution down into the nanosecond level, so looking down at millionths of a second intervals on data flows within the packets. So very accurately timestamping data, analyzing the data, and alerting upon any anomalies of the traffic. You can subscribe to up to 4,000 channels, so monitor up to 4,000 channels at any one time, monitoring 160 gigabits worth of traffic with those the FPGA-based engine that you have in the product. So who is TradeVision suitable for? This obviously very broadly speaking. We have a large number of TradeVision customers in stock exchanges where they want to validate and monitor the quality of the market data feed before it's leaving the environment. We have investment and hedge funds who use TradeVision on the WAN circuits as the traffic's coming in, just to validate again the quality of the traffic when it's arriving, look for anomalies, but are also taking feeds in from various points as it's gone through the trading infrastructure to ensure that it's still the network is performing and not adding any having any ill effect on the traffic. But we also see a lot of infrastructure and service providers who are providing colo environments to finance customers, who they will look at the traffic when it comes in from one of the stock exchanges, ensure that that's fine, but also on the handoffs to each of the customers, they'll also be monitoring the traffic to ensure they're giving a clean feed of data to any of the customers that they have. And we've designed TradeVision to be sort of multi-tenancy for that purpose on there. One very important addition that we see when deploying TradeVision is also network taps to ensure that you're giving a good and reliable feed of data to your TradeVision appliance. So we have our flex taps for supporting feeds, network speeds from 1 to 400 gigabits. We have our patch tap, which is designed to have a very low footprint and low latency impact to be integrated into your patch panels for tapping data. And we also have our IX tap for copper links and virtual cloud lens tap for any public, private, or cloud networks as well. So just moving into our second case study now, discussing a customer who utilized professional services for new infrastructure deployment, but also for the use of ongoing monitoring of that infrastructure, both through the transition period, but post-deployment as well. So network breaches and outages are big news. If an organization has a data breach, 65% of customers lose trust in that organization after the breach. 44% of customers will stop spending in that immediate aftermath of a data breach, and 41% of those will never return. So there's a big effect on your customer base. But network outages are also very costly. If we take a look at an outage of Zoom that happened earlier in the year, there was 7,500 reports of a Zoom outage every 15 minutes. Bad news spreads very quickly and also is very costly. They say the average cost of a network outage is $5,600, so that should actually be per minute rather than per hour, so they become very costly very quickly. So that figures changes heavily dependent on the environment. If we thought that 7,500 number was bad, there was a Call of Duty outage earlier in the year where there's 50,000 reports of that outage every 15 minutes. So bad news spreads very quickly. So looking at this customer, they utilized our professional services team to deploy to validate some new infrastructure that they were deploying, but also wanted some ongoing monitoring. So the project consisted of 3 phases. 1, we worked with them to benchmark their existing network and WAN performance, and also the quality of that link. So what was the latency and the jitter between the different office locations? Pre-go live of the new network, we tested each of the network elements, but also every new network segment, every WAN or SD-WAN provision between different networks to ensure it met the performance criteria, but also more importantly, just ensuring that it was an improvement over the prior WAN circuits between each of the different locations. And then we provided monitoring of the service as they transition from the existing to the new network, which we decided to leave in place. And the result of all this work, these 3 different phases, was to avoid a service affecting outage in the future, which can inconvenience customers and make newspaper headlines. It's not just the financial impact to the customer that when outages occurs that is important, it's also the reputational effect that it can have on the business. So just looking at these phases in a little bit more detail. So the first phase, we utilized Hawkeye to provide performance monitoring in conjunction with our professional services team. So the professional service team has a lot of expertise in which tests which can be configured and run to provide the metrics for the existing network performance. So we deployed agents, a mixture of software and hardware agents at key positions in the network. And we monitored the traffic over a 1-week window so we'd understand what the network performance was at different times within the business's cycle. The Hawkeye tests are designed to be unintrusive, simulate typical user traffic, so we're not adding large volumes of load onto the customer network. We're just another user on the network. And all of the test reports are easy to see and allow test results to be interpreted very quickly. The second phase of the testing was the large part of the engagement. So we utilized multiple parts of the test portfolio, going from IX network, looking at layers 2 to 3, IX load layers 4 to 7, breaking point for security testing, and Hawkeye for validation of different SaaS services. So the testing across all of those different platforms was designed to first of all look at the device and test performance against the data sheet. Is the configuration of the device in matching the data sheet under what the product was, the product criteria was selected? Was there any improvements in configuration that could be made? Was there any interoperability issues with other network elements, whether those existing or the new elements, and understand how each of these different solutions worked as individual elements under failure conditions, but also as a complete scenario. If a failure of a firewall, what's the effect on the neighboring devices for that as well? And then looked at all of these devices as a complete end-to-end portfolio solution and a full topology. So there's quite a variety of different solutions that we monitored, going right from next-gen firewalls to new switches, to SD-WAN controllers, IDSs, SSL VPN gateways, and SaaS web proxies as well, to understand what the performance of all of these elements were, both as individual elements and isolations. We had daily progress calls with the with the customer during the engagement to discuss the findings, the progress we're making, and any needs to retest if the monitoring results or the test results weren't ideal. And at the end of the engagement, a comprehensive report was delivered detailing all of the findings in that result. So the customer was able to have the reassurance that they had tested the network to the full, give the network a rubber stamp, and they're in the best position moving forward. For the network transition monitoring, we utilized the same Hawkeye agents which deploys in the first baselining phase to run reports against new network segments so we can understand how the network was performing. All of the test scenarios can be templated, so it's very easy to roll out the testing for multiple locations. And Hawkeye's inbuilt machine learning helps them identify faults, even though they might be within thresholds, but a change from what the normal operation would be. And also it provided them valuable metrics to ensure the right service level had been purchased. There wasn't any money being wasted on additional bandwidth or ultra low latency links which weren't needed. So they've been able to right size the links, and they expect to make quite a considerable cost saving over the next year based on this information that they didn't have before. And if something has gone wrong, they're able to provide clear evidence to the service providers that the SLAs haven't been met and recoup some funds or improve the speeds of fault resolution because they have detailed metrics about what's gone wrong to aid the service provider. So what this means in numbers, if we look at the network environment when we turned up to the testing, over 50% of credit card numbers were permitted through the proxy. 66% of strikes or attacks that were generated by the test platform were let through the next-gen firewall. Configuration issues on the next-gen firewall meant failover times from actives to standby were over 15 seconds. And there's an issue with Teams call quality across this new network as well. And the network provider had signed the network off as being production ready. It was all good to go, and the customer should have been able to deploy this without any issues. So after the testing and following the advice that we'd given them, configuration changes, working with the equipment vendors to overcome configuration issues, we're able to ensure that less than 0.1% of credit card numbers made it through the proxy. Only 5 strikes were permitted after the reconfiguration. This represents a single-figure percentage afterwards. Failover times were sub 1 second on the next-gen firewalls from failover scenarios. And slowdown of Teams calls issues or any VoIP service provider or collaborative working solution slowdowns can be identified before they become a real issue to users now. But big part of this now is that they're a lot happier, they're a lot more confident that the solution will go in, work in a failure scenario, will be predictable in how it fails, and everything should continue working. So is able to help maintain their reputation moving forward. So that's all of the slides which I had planned to go through. I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have at this point.
Yeah, Joel, there's one question here. Can you support 100 gig market data feeds on the TradeVision platform?
So we only have support for up to 40 gigabits today. We can integrate TradeVision with some of our other packet brokers to bridge physical layer speed differences on there. We haven't seen any large number of requests for 100 gigabits, even from the largest stock exchanges in the world at the moment. But we do have a solution coming next year, and we do have a workaround to bridge that physical layer difference at the moment.
Okay, thanks. How does TradeVision compare with solutions like Corville?
So it can either take over the need to deploy Corville for the market data feed analytics, or it can be deployed in a very complementary way. One of the big benefits of TradeVision against Corville is our processing capacity is far higher than any individual or even multiple Corville appliance has. We don't do any of the order entry analytics that Corville can do, but we have a number of partnerships with other providers which can help bridge that gap and also do the packet capture as well.
Thanks, Joel.
The other aspect of that is that we provide large cost savings when deploying against Corville as well.
That's great. Any more questions, anyone? Yeah, there's one more. Do you have use case solutions for branch office for monitoring?
Sorry, I missed the first part of that, Claudia.
Do you have user case solutions for branch office for monitoring?
Yeah, so if we look at the first example we went through with the first bank, they were able to deploy the IX probes at branch locations, so retail branch locations to monitor the performance from that branch location to the data center, but also from the branch locations to SaaS services or local internet breakout as well. We also have case study material which we can send to anyone who's attended after the session, providing more specific case study information on that.
Yeah, another question we've had is, are full slides available? Yes, we will be sending out the slides following this webinar. Okay, any more questions at all? Oh, yeah. Yep. How many finance customers do you serve in the EMEA market?
So globally, we have around 400 actively spending finance customers. That's quite heavily growing. I'm not sure of the exact, EMEA number, but I think around half of those are actively spending in EMEA. So we have lots of different reference locations and case studies that we can discuss with you regarding finance customers.
Great, thanks for that, Joe.
Cool. So just one last message: we're really here to help you win. We have innovative solutions can help you transform and win within your account by giving you a competitive advantage. We're here to work side by side with you on that as well.
Great, and if you guys have any more questions or you'd like any more information on this, please contact either myself, Joel, with details are at the bottom there, or please reach out to your CAM. And with that, have a good rest of your day, and thank you for attending, and thank you, Joel.
Thank you, everyone.